Well, I promise you a next level guest, the guy who epitomizes the edge. Today, we go deep. Patrick Bet-David didn't arrive where he is because of luck. He was forged, literally forged in pressure. Levels most people would crumble under. A young Christian kid growing up in Iran, surrounded by chaos, forced to grow up fast. Then the big move to America, a new world, new struggles, new fires, many of them, by the way, drugs, fighting, gambling. Before he built companies, before millions knew his name, before Valuetainment, there was a boy who had to survive the mean streets and then reinvent himself. And in today's conversation, Patrick opens the vault. He talks about pain, pressure, identity, faith, the real stuff, not the polished version either, the forged version. This episode is a masterclass in grit and clarity. You'll want to watch this all the way through. There are moments in here that hit hard, all the way to the end. Trust me, you'll learn things about PBD you've never heard before. So buckle up, because the journey from Iranian kid to American entrepreneur to the global voice isn't just inspiring. It's the literal blueprint for men who want to make more out of life, for men who conquer their edge. Well, here we are, Valuetainment. What a great honor to sit down with someone I think epitomizes the edge, and that's what we do. We talk about that edge. What does it take for the guy, it's a pro bro show, for the guy who's been knocked down 7 times, gets back up the 8th time, or the guy who has been told he can't do something, and he still perseveres through it, the grit, the determination to succeed. Patrick, you've built an empire here, but what I'd love to do is start with your beginning. I want to know what was your upbringing like? What gave you the intestinal fortitude to push through to develop an empire like Valuetainment?
Probably one of the best things is when you're a minority wherever you are. And I don't mean minority by skin or ethnicity. I mean minority, period. Like odds are against you. We're in Iran. I'm living there till I'm 11 years old. Christian community in a Muslim majority country, and you're walking around, seeing what's going to happen to you, your family. Are you safe? Are you not? War is taking place, and then eventually 6 weeks after Khomeini dies, we go to Germany. Then I go to Germany refugee camp at Erlangen, Nuremberg, and we're at this camp. Everybody is escaping something. Yugoslavia, Albania, Czechoslovakia, Poland. All these guys are escaping something. Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. We're all there together. But again, you're a minority because they're looking at you where this person is. What are you going to be doing? Then I come to the States. When you come to the States, how old? I'm 12 years old when I come here, and I'm living in Glendale. Everybody's Armenian. But then my parents get a divorce. And most of my friends, they're all mom and dad are together. So I'm the only one that's living with my mom. And parents would say, be careful with Pat because he's going to be a troublemaker. You got to be careful with them. So it's like, you're constantly the underdog. That underdog gives you a certain edge, and I don't know if I want to say a chip on the shoulder, but an edge to say, my entire life, you've underestimated what we're capable of doing, and my job's been to overcome that level of doubt. And then eventually you get to a point, you showed me the picture earlier of you being on the cover of the Trader magazine. I think it was 2006 when you were the Trader of the Year. And I said to you, I said, you look like you believe in yourself, right? There comes a moment where you eventually are like, no, I'm good. Market can't say anything, family can't say anything, friends can't say anything. When you eventually have that kind of confidence in yourself where you're saying, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not trying to walk on, water. I'm not trying to be perfect. But there's an element of constantly trying to, overcome the next space you're going into that you're underestimated. And that kind of keeps you alive. That kind of keeps you on the edge. We're in the media industry today. I've never been in the media industry. This is not what I do. I'm an insurance guy. But I went into the insurance industry. I wasn't an insurance or financial background with a finance degree. I was a military guy. I was a bodybuilder. But it's always that competitive advantage of getting into a new space to prove to yourself that you can compete in that new space. I think that gives you a little bit of an edge over your peers.
Was that the drive? Was it the drive to prove them wrong? Was the drive to not be poor? Was it the drive to be proud of what you're doing? Where's your fire? What's your fuel inside?
If you ask my friends, and especially my sister, if you ask my friends, was Pat confident or cocky when he was younger? They would tell you he was cocky, but also, kind of doubted himself a little bit. Because but I was cocky, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not this. So, and then eventually it gets to a point where you're like, wait a minute. My dad has the heart attack where, puts him in hospital for a minute. He loses 40 pounds. And I see him. I go to an event on Christmas Eve, where one of our relatives that my dad helped him get his career off the ground. He takes a shot at my dad in front of me and just insults my dad in a very subtle way. Nothing that is calling him a ward, in a very passive, the fact that, divorced family, marriage, you don't have a wife, that kind of a comment. Can't stand you talking to my dad like that. We get in the car on the way back from Glendale to Granada Hills for 30 minutes. I said, nobody can talk to you like that. We left the party. He says, who do you think you are? Who do you think we are? I said, we're the Bet David family. My sister and my brother-in-law come to the house the next day. I said, I'm telling you right now, they're going to have to kill me. They're going to know your last name. I'm going to make sure the world knows how amazing of a father you are. That day when I told them that, I'm 25 years old, 26 years old. Nobody has a clue who I am. I'm making 6 figures a year in insurance. It's not like I'm doing anything spectacular. But then I went in and I got locked in. And that caused me to take my dad to Hawaii, February of 2004. And then after that Hawaii trip, we went there. He got a taste of what life could look like. And then I started making money, and then business, media, church, faith. Then it was off to the races. But it was both proving certain people wrong, proving certain people right, and that graduation from being cocky to confident, because I knew like one time I'm on this stage and I'm speaking, it's probably 1,000 people in attendance in this insurance conference. And this one lady comes up, very competitive environment we were in, and she's calling me out. And she's saying, well, you guys are not at our level and we run a better agency than you would. I'm sitting all the way in the corner. I'm just watching her. She's over there and she keeps looking at me like this. And I'm the closing speaker. You don't say something like that about the closing speaker. I'm the closing speaker. I get up and I said, let me tell you something. I said, you can never talk to me like this ever again. And here's why. There's one thing we have that you simply don't have. And I will not tell you, but you'll know about it one day. She comes to me afterwards and she says, what is that one thing that you have that I don't have? We're at Walmart. She's crying. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called you out. I said, I'm never going to tell you, but you will know very soon. But it's going to take a minute. You know what that one thing was?
What is it?
I knew I'm never going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing more intimidating, Eric, than an opponent that will never, ever stop. No matter how much money they make, no matter how many accolades they get, no matter how many awards they get, no matter how many homes, properties, watches, gold, Bitcoin, whatever you talk about, there are these handful of people in every industry that you meet that they're psycho competitors, that their biggest edge is, I'm not going to stop. And you know your peers are going to stop at a certain level. And by the way, when I said that, it's not like I doubted myself. It's not like I questioned I knew I wasn't a massive player yet at the time. I was coming up, but I knew you may be ahead of me right now, but I'm telling you, you will not beat us because we're never, ever going to stop. I don't even think we're in the same league. By the way, she makes very good money right now. But there's levels to this game. So I think that's part of the advantage, not advantage, the edge that you have, that the only way you'll know if that's real or not, you have to kind of be around for a couple decades. Like for you. Yeah, he's probably just a trader. Then you go and have your own TV show. How did he end up having his own? You're just a failed baseball player, trader of the year. He made his money as trading. No, I'm going to be on camera. What does he do and have his own show? It's every time somebody thinks you're done, you recreate. I think that's what I would say on this.
I want to get to what happened before that, because I've read a lot about your upbringing. That period before you're 25 years old, where you're starting to taste, oh, I can do this. Because there was a period, I believe, where you weren't, get involved in some things. You were a bouncer for a while. I think you had said you tried some various drugs, whatever, and you weren't maybe on this path yet.
No way.
But this is important. How do you go from, I want to be successful, I want to prove them wrong, But there's this party going on over here, and I really enjoy it right now. How do you get yourself back on that path?
Well, I mean, listen,
the prosperous path.
Well, pre me going to the Army, I partied 6 days a week, okay? And legit, I was the guy you wanted to party with. We would have a lot of fun together, right? And I was very committed to that life. And then I joined the Army. I'm in boot camp. We get into a bad fight in the laundromat at our base, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill sergeant brings me out, sits me down and says, here's a phone. You can have an hour to call anybody you want to call. I call my sister, I call my friends, I call my family. Everybody tells me, what are you doing? Get out, come out. We're going to have a good time. You don't need to stay there. Everyone's asking about you. Everyone's asking about you. They said, take your time. If you get out, we won't even put it as less than honorable, dishonorable discharge. We'll put it as if you never joined the Army. I'll go back to my bunk bed. I have my bunk buddy. His name is Wiggins. He's from Houston, Texas. Another guy that's a troublemaker. He was a very different life that he lived. I can't sleep. I'm like, man, they're waiting for me in the morning to say this. My dad wants me to. I didn't call my dad because that's the one guy that didn't want me to get out. And then I'm like, yeah, if I quit today, I'm going to quit every time something gets hard. Formation comes in the morning. They pull me aside. But David, what do you want to do? I'm staying in. You're going to do what? I'm staying in. No, you're not. I'm staying in. He says, you realize if you stay in, we're going to make your life a living hell. I said, I get it. They picked on me for 2.5 months, which is what they're supposed to do. That's kind of how they make you tougher. But I said, I'm not going to get out. That day I became someone, big graduation day for me there's like 10 days you'll never forget that you personally grew. That's one of the days. It could have been very easy for me to get out. Then I go to my unit. We have a good time at the unit. I get out. When I'm getting out, I'm working at Bally Total Fitness. And at Bally's, I was working at Chatsworth Bally's. I don't know if you know about Chatsworth, California. 80% of porn at that time was being made in Chatsworth, California. In the world, 80% of porn is built in Chatsworth, California. Ron Jeremy lived there, everybody. So these are our members. Right. And I'm running this club. On any given day, you have all the major stars at our club. They would come up to me. They would say, Pat, tonight, I know you're closing the club. Would you be okay if we're by the pool and jacuzzi for about an hour? And, if I said yes to them, and you should see what they will. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Guys, we can't be doing this. I thought you were just hanging out. No, come on. It's not a big deal. We're adults. No. Guys, you guys got to get out. We can't do stuff like this. And I have to shut down the club. So now I meet a guy that never sells memberships, but he supposedly is a sales guy. I'm like, hey, man, how do you have this Mercedes, this BMW? He says, I got a boat. I got a lot of other things. I don't need to make this money. It's just this is my way of showing that I have a job. He said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, nothing. He says, why don't you come with me? You'll learn more about what I'm doing. So I go with them, and we go to Santa Monica, and that's when I realized how he made his money. He introduced me to this Colombian guy. We went on a yacht. I was very big at that time. And he says, hey, man, we're going to this one place. Can you just come with us? We're trying to collect $100,000. We go on the yacht. And they say, this is our muscle. And I'm like,
you're going to be their muscle. Yeah.
I'm their muscle. And I'm like, oh, I should not be here right now. This is bad. So then, like, if you do anything, and he starts telling the guy stories about who this guy is, and he's telling me who I am and what background, what kind of, and like, look, please don't do anything to us. He collects the $100,000. We leave. They call me. They say, how much money you make at Bally's right now? I said, I'm doing great. I'm making $3,300 a month. He says, how would you like to make $4K a week if you just come with us? You're just our muscle, and you got to get us, collect money. I come home. I'm like, oh,
they're dealing coke.
Oh, coke. Like, yeah. This guy eventually ends up going away. But so they're dealing coke, and I come back and I say, I can't do it. So I don't do it. I stay Bally's, start my own businesses. Then a day before 9/11, I go start up Morgan Stanley Deanwood Glendale. I get my Series 766 3126 Life and Health. I'm in the securities business. I can sell stocks, bonds, futures, commodities. That's my world that I get into. And then I go into insurance. 7.5 years later, I start making real money. Then I start my own insurance company, and then the rest is history. But there was a moment where my debt went to $49K. I desperately need to pay this money off. Mm-hmm. At this time, when I'm 24 years old, I used to go to Commerce, California. I don't know if you know Commerce Casino in California. It's a great poker spot. And I used to go there and play poker every night. After my last appointment was done on Tuesday nights, I would go at 10 o'clock, and I would play till 4 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of these Vietnamese, Asians. They're funny as hell. Armenians, just, You know what crowd that is, 10 to 4 a.m. It's a very different kind of a crowd. Everyone's smoking. But if you play the 2-4 game, it's a great game, right? Especially when you're broke, the 2-4 game, you go with $100, $200, you can have a good time, right? I don't have a lot of money at that time. And then one day I'm like, I come in the morning, I got 4 hours of sleep. I'm trying to sell people insurance. I have a bad temper because I'm tired. I'm like, I'm not doing this no more. I locked in. I said, no more. I stopped gambling. I stopped going to clubs. I stopped any of that stuff. I got locked in with business. And then the rest is history. 25 years old was when I made that decision.
Was there a moment? Okay, so now you're successful. You're insurance. You're making more money. You're going to branch off on your own. Get involved in I guess the genesis of what becomes Valuetainment. There's got to be a moment where you question whether you made a mistake if you're on the right path. And now, in hindsight, obviously it's easy to say,
yeah,
I did what I had to do to get here. Was there a moment where you just dig deep and go, am I doing the right thing here? On the successful path. I'm not talking about the bouncer, the drugs, the gyms, or even the Burger King. I think you worked there for a while. But when you're on your way and they say, don't do it, Pat, you're gonna lose a lot of money, you're gonna waste your money, you waste your time,
oh my God,
and you push right through. What is that moment?
Yeah, so March 29th of 09-ish, I'm in Diamond Bar at this guy's office. The company is about to go through it's going through a civil war, and I'm in the middle of it. And the one man I like a lot, his name is Rich. He hosts a meeting at this guy who he and I would kill each other in that room. He's literally sitting in between us. That guy's sitting here, I'm sitting here, he's sitting here. He knows he's the only guy that can prevent us from killing each other. Literally, when I tell you this, we're gonna kill each other. That's it. We can't be in the same room together. Fake guy, don't like him, manipulator, games, and I would be the only guy that would call him out. Everybody else was afraid of him for whatever reason. I don't like bullies. So my wife is sitting to my left, and there's 7 other people sitting. This was the pinnacle meeting. We're in this meeting. He's making up some new bullshit that he's saying, and I call him out. He gets up. I get up, he gets up, he's separating us. He tells him to storm off so it won't get heated. He goes out, he comes back, and he says, he thinks, a very respectful man. It's one of my top 5 men in my life that I respect, even though I haven't done business with him for 16 years. Very, very solid Mormon, LDS, just a solid, rock solid man. He says, Patrick, I appreciate you for coming. I said, no problem. I said, I can't do business with this guy. I don't trust this guy. Totally get it, we'll follow up. I leave. Get in the car. My wife and I go pick out the flowers for our wedding. Then it's our wedding, June 26th of 09, get married. 3 weeks later, I put an event together called Saving America, Doing the Impossible. This is July 15th to July 17th of 09. I'm dressed as George Washington. My wife is dressed as Lady Liberty. I got a 40-foot Mount Rushmore on the stage, 40 American flags. Michael Reagan is speaking about his dad. I got Larry Greenfield talking about Claremont Institute and the capitalism. I brought Dudley Rutherford to speak about Star Spangled Banner and why America is the greatest country in the world. This is 09. I leave. Then I fly out to Georgia to have the final meeting with these guys in the company because I wasn't happy about a couple of things that was going on. I wrote a nice 16-page letter, kind of like Jerry Maguire wrote, with 9 things I think you guys need to do differently. And this lady, Susan, blew me off and I had to go all the way to the top. Anyways, long story short, I come back. The next 2 months, I have a very good life, by the way, at this time. I'm traveling. I've been to probably 40 countries, have a great life. I've spoken in front of hundreds of thousands of people, literally tens of thousands of people, total probably 100,000. I know Dad's retired. He's not working at the 99-cent store again, and I'm just not happy. I'm not content because to me, I'm like, is this it? Am I just supposed to make money and that is it? Because that's not going to be the case with me. I need more than that. So that moment, after I had that meeting with George Will at an event in Miramar Hotel Santa Monica, he's there, Pat Boone is there. I'm being invited to this guy, Wayne Hughes, who his father owned Public Storage, $4 billion family. They had a house in Miami right down the street from Nova. I'd go to his house and there would be incredible debates. It would be campaign managers for George Bush and Clinton's talking for 2 hours, and you're sitting there with 40 people and you're watching it, and they would invite me. I'm not involved in politics yet. So September 23rd, I go to sleep. 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up. I wake my wife up. We've just been married for 3 months now. I said, babe, I'm resigning today. She said, you're going to do what today? I said, I'm resigning today. Yeah. You resigning? Babe, you can't do that, babe. I said, I'm resigning today. Go hold a meeting. I tell everybody we're leaving. My friend, my family, my dad calls me. What are you doing? You got a new wife. You shouldn't be. I have to leave behind 7,000 clients that I can't take away because I got a non-compete. Okay? And I said, no, we're doing it. I have a $500,000 saved. I put it in the company. Okay? We start the company. I don't know anything about E&O, technology, software, nothing. I'm just a very good sales guy. I've never ran a company, so we start this. My wife and I, you know, she's helping me out, all this other stuff. 18 months later, I come home. She has her first miscarriage. We run out of money. I'm down to $13,000. Nobody knows I only have $13,000 left. And in that moment, I'm like, man, I don't know what's going to be happening right now. I got nothing else going on. I don't know how I'm going to pay payroll. I'm looking at everybody's face. Hi, how you doing? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably not going to pay you this Friday, and I don't know how I'm going to pay you. Boom. AIG bonus hits, $100,000.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, this sounds good. This is great. And then after AIG bonus hits, I get a call from the top saying AIG hired a new executive, guy named John. I don't want to give his last name, but we're friends now, John. John comes in, and he doesn't like Armenians because this couple guys in Glendale, Armenians, wrote some business that's going to charge back for them $3-4 million. So my consultant calls me saying he's coming with their chief compliance officer and their general counsel, which anytime they come, they're terminating the contract, right? Yeah. They come in, and he comes in like a boss. He doesn't even want to get to know me because it's easier to terminate if you don't have that very basic stuff. He's sitting across from me. I'm telling my guys, I'm going to call him out right off the bat before he terminates us. My wife says, babe, don't do it. My Amor says, don't do it. Murat, Pat, everybody's trying to level me for me not to. I said, listen, if I'm going to lose it all, this is how we're going to lose it all. I'm going to have the conversation. He comes. He said, well, let me tell you why we're here. I said, John, respectfully, before we get started, let me just tell you a couple things that I want to share with you. A little birdie told me you're uncomfortable with Armenians. 2 weeks prior to that, when we were at Napa Valley, my son, this is the first time I'm spending time with my 6-month-old son. My dad and my wife go to the baking thing that's going on with AIG. That's the day that AIG announced Bob Ben Moshe as their new CEO. Bob Ben Moshe is dying. He comes from MetLife to come to here. Anyways, love Bob Ben Moshe. He died a few years later after that. My wife is going to this baking thing in Napa. I skip and I stay with my son. It's my mom, it's my wife, it's my dad, and it's John and 6 other people. John and my wife team up. He tells my wife, do you trust Armenians? He knows she's married to an Armenian Assyrian. Right. She looks at him and says, what do you mean do I trust Armenian? I'm married to one. I know, but do you trust them generally? My dad is here. My dad's a non-confrontational type of guy. He's not like me. He is not about confrontation. He's just a head down, get to work type of guy. He's an Aries. So they come back. I'm relaxing with my son. This is the first time in 6 months I'm spending time with my son. And they're getting into an argument in the what do you call it, living room. And I see my dad and my wife arguing. What are you guys arguing about? I come in. What's going on? Don't tell him. Don't tell him. My dad is saying, don't tell him. And my wife's saying, if I don't tell him, he will be furious with me. So she says, babe, here's what John said. He said this about Armenians. I said, what did he say? He said this about Armenians. He said that to you? Yeah. Did he say that? I'm a big deal. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. My dad's always trying to. I said, it's not going to be good with me. So I called the consultant. The consultant knows about it. He said, Pat, just don't do anything because he's going to terminate the contract. It's not going to work. So he's sitting in front of me, back to 2 weeks later in front of the meeting with the compliance officer. I said, something tells me you're not comfortable with Armenians because you guys had a couple issues with a couple insurance policies that charge back. I said, if you're going to judge me based on what some of the other Armenians did, you're going to have a very big problem with me. I can get very loud very quickly. If you trust me based on the work ethic I put together with the company and what I do, we're going to have a very good relationship together. He sits there. He always would go like this, takes a deep breath, looks at his chief compliance officer, counsel. I get your drift. You have 1 year. Gets up, walks out. It's a 5-minute meeting. And you know how they come with a manila folder that they open up, termination of contract, they leave. They leave. I get to work. I knew I had to become a friend with and build a relationship. So I go back and forth to AIG's headquarters in Houston to get close to the guy. I invite him to our events. Next thing you know, 10 years later, he is retiring from the insurance industry after 39 years. Rents a yacht in Miami. I come in. He has 5 people to speak at his retirement ceremony. One of them is his best man at his wedding. I think it was some guy he's known his entire life. Second to the last speaker is me.
Yep.
We became very good friends.
Well, he respected your work ethic, your success.
And I respected him.
But you cut him off before he had a chance
I had to. I had to. Or else I'm going to lose the contract.
Where did that... You're a risk taker.
I am.
You are a calculated risk taker, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't go to business school or...
Zero.
Where did
Community
that knowledge... Is it a gut? Is it your father? Where did the street? Is it the street?
It's only the street. I'm not a... my dad is the guy you want as an uncle or a father. Like he's a very good man. My dad's a very, very good man, right? So, but he's non-confrontational. And I don't like people being bullied. I don't like it. I can't stand bullies. Can't. And since I was a kid, I've never liked bullies, ever. I've never liked dividers. I've never liked manipulators. I've never liked bullies, ever. And the way you confront them is by confronting them. You have no choice. You got to go at them first, or else they're going to keep doing it. So when I saw this, and it's not like I wasn't bullied before. I lived in camps. I was bullied all my, as a kid coming up, like all these issues. You got to stand up for yourself. Father's not there. You have to find a way to protect your sister who's 6 years older than you.
You're a Christian in Iran.
Yes, I'm a Christian. So to me, these are moments, because this is a success story. I can tell you 50 where I did this and it didn't work. So it's not like this works every single time.
For 1 second, because this is on the podcast. You guys know this. I believe the most powerful thing in the world isn't brains, isn't Harvard education. It's risk, and it's not just take risk. It's knowing how much risk to take and when to deploy how much risk. It's a recipe that's so sensitive. Most people can't do it. You learned it somehow. By trial and error, or it was just inherently always. Some people they go to Wall Street. Where I worked, where I traded for 12 years, 2006 Trader of the Year, 2,000 men in a room, 5 or 6 different trading pits, oil, gas, natural gas, electricity. 90% of the people blew out. They walked away. And I stood there for 12 years because I knew how to press, but I knew where to take the risk, where the calculation was worth it or it wasn't. Of course, you get your ass handed to you. I'll never forget. One of the first, maybe the second week I'm in the trading pit, come from Chicago, dead broke, nothing, not a penny. I had my car. I had just blown my shoulder out. I ended up on Wall Street. I went to the trading floor. I hear 2,000 men at 9:30 in the morning start yelling all at the same time, and the hair stood up on my body everywhere. I said, I have to do this. Had no money. I couldn't get into the pit. You're trading tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on your own. It's a casino, your own money. I get into it maybe the second week. First week I did well, but you may put a couple $1,000s in my pocket. I got this. Second week, it was probably the Tuesday of the second week. I get tattooed, and I lose all the 10. I lost the money that I borrowed for my bond to put up. I lost everything, and I'll never forget. I'm standing in the bottom of the pit, because when you start, you're at the bottom. As you get seniority, you move to the top. You can see better. So at the bottom, you can't see anything. It's a disadvantage. I'm at the bottom, and I look up, and there are 2 guys that have been there for forever. They're 2, probably 15, 20 years older than me, and they're laughing. They see me. Everyone sees everything. They see me just get slaughtered. And they're laughing. And this is a moment where risk, at that moment, I'm like furious at them.
How old
furious. 24, 25 years old. I'm furious at them. They're the big dogs. I ran from the bottom of the pit, pushed people out of the way, took both of them and threw them out the back of the pit. The pit is probably 7 or 8 feet high at the top. They go off the back. I get fined $5,000. I get benched for 3 days for doing it. It was me. It was the best risk, best $5,000 I've ever spent in my life. The whole pit knew I had balls. They said, that kid's got balls. I became like this little, because they all hated those guys. They were just cocky son of a bitches making a lot of money, and like everyone else is trying, and that was a risk. And it literally went through my mind. I'm going to get in a lot of fucking trouble for doing this. But you know what? fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. And I did. It was one of the best risks I've ever taken. So where did you learn to deploy a certain amount of risk, more or less? Because you've clearly, it's worked. 'Cause we're in a beautiful, 9-digit facility that you're just killing it. So it's worked, but you didn't learn it in business school.
No, but I think the one part of audacity and pushing the envelope, audacity and pushing the envelope works with business, works with women, works with interviewing, works with podcasts, works with investing. But audacity and pushing the envelope can also have a massive pushback as well. And I think like the first time you do it, you're going to be like, whoa, what happened right there? And then that's when you realize, because you're going to be flight, fight, freeze. It's 1 to 3. So you either freeze, you either run away, or you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm coming back in the ring. I want some more of this. This was good, right? So I think audacity and pushing the envelope. And then as you're going through it, you're eventually, you're creating a pattern. And you whether it's getting better at body language. And I'm sitting in a meeting. And you talk to one of your employees that's been with you for 2 years.
Where are you?
Anywhere you are, what I'm trying to say is you'll be in a meeting and you'll be like, something's off with this guy. So let's just say we're showing a video and everyone's laughing and he doesn't even turn and look at the video. And he always does. And then his facial language is more serious. And then he's like that for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 2 weeks. And he's normally not like that. So now in my mind, either him and his wife are fighting, which is typically a 1 day or a 2 day thing. Either something happened with his kids or something's about to come up. Then all of a sudden there's a meeting. I quit. Okay. So your gut was right. You just couldn't tell what it was, right? You're in a meeting and 4 investors are sitting there. They're going to invest into your company. And you're saying something and you keep noticing this guy looks down, texts something, puts his phone down. Then that guy looks down, looks down. And then after he's done texting, he looks at him, then he looks at you. Now you know there is something going on here, right? So eventually, I had a person in my family who was bipolar, extreme, highest level of bipolar, and every day you didn't know who that person was going to be. That was one of the greatest training ever in my life because as a kid, I had to figure out if this person was happy that day, if you were angry, if you were paranoid, if you were guilty, if you were a victim, if you're the poor me, if you were in the mood to go listen to music and dance. And it's like, okay, I know that body language. Hey, how are you? Oh my God. Yeah, let's go. You're like, ooh, got a phone call. I'll be back. I got to go. I'll see you later. Why? No, I'll just be back. Boom, boom, boom. So I don't know how to describe this. Like sometimes certain people who really hurt you or were different or had certain symptoms, and if you truly study body language closely and you're paying attention and you're aware of it, eventually this helps you out in interviews, this helps you out in negotiation boardrooms, this helps you out when you're doing certain things, even with kids, when you're like, that kid's off a little bit, babe, he's going through something right now. You okay? Can we go for a walk? What's up? Nothing. No, don't do that with me. What's up? Nothing. What's up? You're normally lying like this, boom, 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 boom. Whatever, it's not a big deal. Tell me. It's not a big deal. Bro, God chose me as your father. Are you going to trust the fact that he chose me as your father or not? He chose me. He picked me. It's my job. Tell me. What's up? Let me tell you what happened. Boom. So in the risk side, intuition and instinct. There is no book for intuition and instinct. There is not. And you can't teach that. Like some people are driven by power, control, and some people are like, oh, go. Some people are like, oh, right? No, the instinct is like, no, I think we got this one. I have a feeling we should take this risk. I was off. And by the way, that doesn't mean you're on 100%. You just got to be right 60, 70% of the time. 51% of the time, you're going to be fine. So I don't know how to answer that question for you, but the fact that it's a little bit of all of that when you're in these rooms to study human nature. But human nature, no matter how much money you make, no matter what business you're in, at the end of the day, even if you're in the AI space, You're creating AI to know how to get people to use your product. You're in the human nature business.
Let's do this. Fast forward to now. Patrick Bet-David, beautiful. You love to look great. It's one of the signature things we know about Pat Bet-David. He loves the way he looks. You dress great. I think you said you love Ferragamo shoes. Who does Patrick Bet-David right now look up to? Who's your aspirational figure? There's millions of people who you're their aspirational figure. I mean, I have friends who are trainers in gyms who can't stop calling me, telling me I need to know more about Patrick Bet-David. So you're that person for millions of people. Who's your aspirational figure?
Set aside my dad. My dad's my guy who every time he said he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He's my number one. But let's set him aside because it's unfair to put him on that list.
Is there a celebrity figure? Is there someone outside of politics that...
Jamie Dimon would be on that list.
Mm-hmm. You've interviewed tons of hip-hop stars, celebrities. Some of them must impress you as, wow, that's pretty cool. What they're doing, what they're laying down is something I could see or would like to maybe at some point do.
He's not alive. George Steinbrenner. Like, I like Steinbrenner, the way he ran the Yankees. Jerry Buss, who's no longer with us. He was a great team owner. I like tough leaders who push the envelope, but they're also having fun doing it. Guys who are building flywheels. I love guys that are building a flywheel and putting a business together that things are feeding each other. But to me, it's really fairly basic. Here's what I believe in. I'm not compromising my beliefs. I'm pushing the envelope. I'm confronting people in my own way. I'm not afraid of confronting, and I'm driving my agenda. And I'm inside the storm, and while I'm inside the storm, everybody wants to get out of the storm. I'm inside the storm dancing, and that's my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's who I respect. So whoever's inside the storm and not running outside of being inside the storm, that's somebody I have respect for.
Final question. I know we're pressed for time here. What's the one thing at 3 a.m. that keeps you up? What's the one thing that people may not know that sits in here that wakes you up in the middle of the night going, I'm worried about that?
Non-politics, right? Just life. You're not on politics.
No politics.
Okay. Honestly, at this phase, it's really only related to my kids. Nothing else is that important that's going to wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Minus my kids, which means for my kids, it's the country they live in. So that's byproduct of my kids. My kids having the opportunity to have their dreams become a reality. Family, what we're doing. I would say a relative of mine that I have probably is the one I wake up in the middle of the night for the last 20 years, every night, every month. But it's some people that I love, that I think about, and I see them going through challenging times that, you're not God. All you can do is pray and see what they can do about it. But I would say that. Aside from that, with business, it's seasonal. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm waking up with an idea, or what if we did this? We should do this on the podcast. I should make a video about this. We should go do this part with Manek. We should come up with this idea for the consulting. Maybe we do this with the speaker to bring up, and I'll take my notes, and I'll start taking notes and all this stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I would say that.
Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you really want to do?
Majority owner of a baseball team. Yeah. Majority owner. Right now we're minority Yankees. Drives me insane because I can't do anything. Right. But majority owner. I think we would be formidable owners. I think we would be fun team owners. I think we would bring a lot of eyeballs to the team using marketing. I think our players would like to play for our team. When we buy
only
the
baseball?
majority. Baseball's God's favorite sport, man.
Right, okay.
But never forget what the Bible starts off with. It says, in the big inning. He even talks about it, right?
Maybe,
in the big inning.
Spelled it a little wrong.
No, it's in the big inning, right? Not in the beginning, it's in the big inning. No, but baseball's God's favorite. There's something about baseball, man. You go to the field. You know how it is, man. Just the sound, Tom, when a baseball bat hits. I mean, it's just a beautiful sound. the grass, the hot dog, the conversation with the person sitting next to you, the ball when it hits there's something, yesterday we're going to the American Business Forum. I'm speaking there at the event, and on the way there, one of our security guys, who's a Delta Force guys, he starts telling stories. And Henry, who's Venezuelan, our camera guy, I said, how much do you know about the 1998 season? He says, of what? I said, of baseball. He says, nothing. I said, so baseball was on a year-and-a-half strike, yeah. 232 games, I don't know what it is, 94, 95, something like that's going on. And baseball's dead after the strike. Then comes up 1998. And these two guys, Sammy Sosa and McGuire, are going at it. I'm in the Army, okay? We would be done, turn on the TV, they're playing. And I remember when he hit his 60th, I remember the 61st, but especially the 62nd when he hit a line drive, goes 150 miles an hour, felt like, and then he comes, everybody's celebrating, he picks his sons and picks them up, and then it's the last game of the year. The announcer says, this is essentially his last at-bat of the season, and he's at 69 home runs. Let's see what he's going to do. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, throws the pitch. Bam! Hits 70.
Yep.
Right? We're jumping up and down in the Army and the barracks, screaming, hollering. McGuire hits the 70th home run. Baseball is magical. So I would say baseball. I'd say there's a hotel I want to buy. I can't mention them because if I negotiate with them, it won't work in my favor. There's some assets that we want to buy. There's some assets we want to buy, but that's what I would say.
You're a wonderful interview. You were a perfect guest for The Edge, and you're a good friend too, Patrick.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Good
Thank
friends
you.
Always do good TV and do good digital. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that is Patrick Bet-David, a man who took the kind of childhood most people wouldn't recover from and turned it into fuel. Pressure became purpose. Chaos became clarity. The fire became his advantage. You felt it, the mindset, the grit, the self-belief, and that is The Edge. That's what we're all about right here. This conversation, if it moved you, make sure you're subscribed. We're building something different here, a place where men sharpen men, where truth beats trends, where pressure becomes power.